don't know how to see who's with us tonight. So we're just gonna start. This is a pretty cool little painting. We're gonna start off with some phthalo blue on our brush. Obviously the canvas is already prepared with our liquid white medium, or Bob Ross liquid white. So take the phthalo blue, and I'm just gonna make these little crisscross strokes. I know I want some clouds. I kind of want the clouds coming up in the painting. So we're just gonna kind of play around here. Don't get too caught up in this. All right, this isn't really that big of a deal. We'll bring the blue down to about right there. Leave these little holes, and that's where the clouds are going to be. Okay, if you're having trouble making clouds, if you've tried the Bob Ross method, I'm going to show you a way that really works for me, and I think it'll work for you too. Kind of keep your corners dark, okay? And that's where, that way it'll help draw the viewer's eye kind of into the painting. Just go down here. And I don't know, we're gonna have some trees and stuff here. I don't know. Maybe we'll have some water. Just use this to clean the brush off. If we don't need it, then that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But if you do want this to stay as water, make sure you're going level here. Don't go this way or that way. It's gonna look like the water is about to run out of the painting. It'll bother your eye. All right, and then just going to use this to clean off the brush. And oops. You can leave that little area there. If we do keep it as water, it'll look like there's a sheen of light. All right, now take a clean, dry 2-inch brush and just kind of stir this up. I'm just going to remove some of that excess paint. And we're just making little circular strokes here. Little tiny circles. Little tiny circles, little tiny circles, just like that. Okay? Just like that. That's all there is to it. It's not very difficult. If you start to pick up a little bit of paint, you can see I did there. Just beat the brush if you have to. You can beat it on the brush beater rack. Looks like it picked up a little more. Probably should have already done that. It's no big deal. We've got 2 sides, just use the other side. And once again, just kind of stir this up. Stir that up. All right. There. A little bit of thinner left from the last painted. Eat the devil out of him. Make sure he's clean and dry. All right. Come back. And again, all you're going to do, little tiny circles, little tiny circles. As you pick up that paint, just beat the brush. It really is that simple. Now I know I'm going to have a mountain here, so I'm not too worried about what's down there. This is a Pacific Northwest kind of scene. Maybe up higher up in the Cascades or something. This is from season 32 of The Joy of Painting. I guess you'd call it the Lost Paintings. If you don't know, Bob prepared paintings for season 32, but sadly he passed away before they could film it, and he only was able to prepare about 7 or 8 paintings. And so what they've done is that they've had Nicholas Hankins, who's the kind of the lead instructor over at Bob Ross Inc. He went ahead and studied those paintings, and they are now or I should say the paintings and the season is completed, and you can see it on your local PBS station. So go check that out if you have a chance. All right, clean the brush off. We're going to use the 2-inch brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of titanium white and just tap the brush. I probably should have gone over the colors that I'm looking. Hey, thanks, Millet. Just tap the brush, literally just like this. Now, really, you could leave the sky like that and it would be perfectly fine. But I want to show you how to do a very easy way to do clouds. Because I know people say that they had trouble with it, and I've had trouble myself. All you're going to do is take the brush and just tap. And that'll kind of give us the indication that there's something there that we really didn't see earlier. And it really is that easy. Just kind of come up here again. Tap, 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 tap. And I'm tapping pretty firmly here. See my easel's moving around quite a bit. So I am hitting it pretty hard. Go get some more paint. Again, it's not going to take a whole lot. You can see really I'm just getting the corner of the brush. Anybody can do this. And this is really probably the easiest way to put in some good looking clouds. Set that brush down. Get our other 2-inch brush. And then just come in here. We're not worried about the top edge. We're just going to blend out the bottom. As you pick up some paint, try to clean your brush, come back. And once again, turn, turn, turn. Those little tiny circles. Now I'm not going to do it over. I don't know if you can see it, but kind of like right in here, I skipped over that. I want it to be thicker along in here, and then kind of thicker along in here. Thinner right here, thinner right here. So those little holes will give it kind of this 3D effect. Just leave that. And then we're going to kind of blend it, tease it, fluff it up, fluff these clouds up, and then very gently go side to side, and boom, you're done. That is how you can make a very effective little sky. And I don't know, that took us, what, 5 minutes maybe? But we're not going to stop here. We're going to keep going. So, because we've got to do the best part, or at least what I think is the best part, and that's the mountains. So, in order to make our mountains, we're going to make a mountain mix. We're going to take some black. We're going to take some phthalo blue and Prussian blue, some Van Dyke brown, and some alizarin crimson. That's going to give us a very nice dark, it's going to look black on the palette, but it should be a very dark purplish kind of color. Well, it's going to be more the blue side than to the red side, because all those blues are very, very powerful. If you've ever painted, you know blue is a very strong color, and it's going to overpower pretty much everything else on your palette. Okay. Now, I do tend to, thank you, do things a little differently. If you remember in the show, Bob would just come up here and he would just kind of throw his mountain in. I tend to like to plan mine a little bit. You don't want your mountain peaks to all be the same height. Otherwise, it's going to look weird. It's going to look like, I think, it's going to look like the pyramids or something, and we don't want it to look like that. You also don't want it to necessarily, you don't want to put the top highest peak, like right dead center. So we're gonna say that's the highest peak, and then maybe there's one kind of right there. And then, see, I almost wanted to make them even. Don't do that. Maybe we have another one right there. Okay. Once you got that, you get your little roll of paint on your knife and just kind of come up here and just start kind of putting your mountain together. Be aware, they don't all have to look like, they shouldn't look like perfect triangles, kind of like that, okay? If you've got a perfect triangle, you're going to be very unhappy. It's going to look weird, okay? And then, let's see, we kind of go this way with this mountain. Maybe kind of comes like that. Maybe there's another little peak way out there. And it kind of runs off. And this guy kind of comes this way. Now we're going to take all of this, most of it I should say, take most of this off. Okay? Maybe this guy, let's put him like that. There. There we go. Get all this paint off. We're only concerned with the edge. Again, similar to the clouds, we're only concerned with the edge. Okay? Hope everybody's having a good summer, a good holiday break. Now that it's kind of the 4th of July weekend. Long weekend for some folks. All right. Now, let's get our 2-inch brush. Now, if you're doing this at home, be careful, don't come like this because you can't see what you're doing. Put your brush flat. And we're just going to pull this paint. Stretch it out. Okay? Just going to stretch it out, just like that. Come up here. Stretch it out. Just pull the paint. And this is going to do a couple of things. Number one, you can see we're getting rid of quite a bit of that dark paint. And it's going to make the mountain look like it's just sitting here in this mist. And really, you could leave the mountain, could leave it just like that if you wanted to. I'm not going to, but you could. The most important thing is that it's going to get rid of this paint, which is going to make the next step, oh, so much easier. So we come down, and then probably third, and it's probably hard for you to see it, sometimes you can already kind of lay out your mountain with your brush strokes. You can kind of say, okay, I want these to be the highlights, and I want these to be the shadows, something like that. Okay. But you're not committed. You can change it if you want. Pull that around there, just like that. Okay. All right. Clean off the knife. Get it good and clean. And now let's do the fun part. That's the highlights. So we're going to take our white. I think I'm going to add just a smidgen of our bright red to it. That way it's not quite perfectly white. If you ever take art classes with painters, they always, don't just use straight up white. Sometimes I do. All right, but today we're not. Hey, thanks. Gerardo, I appreciate that. We're not done yet though. We're gonna get our snow. Got a little roll of paint, I hope you can see that. When I was putting the mountain in, I was pressing really, really hard. Don't press hard on this step. It's really, really gentle. Just gonna hold the knife with 2 fingers, basically. And I'm gonna come up here. There's several ways that you can do this. Bob usually would pull down. You can also come in here and kind of just touch. Just barely touch the mountain. And all of a sudden, you've got nice snowy highlights. Just like that. And if you're gentle enough, your paint is going to break just as you kind of see it breaking there. Okay? Wipe the knife off. Very important that you get that little roll of paint. Okay? And that's all that's touching the canvas, by the way. And just kind of, I don't like straight lines. So, kind of keep that in mind when you're doing this. Like I'm seeing here, I'm gonna just put a little bit of a highlight there. There we go. Now you could, if you wanted to, you can kind of come up here. Kind of mess that up there, just like that. And again, these are just little rolls of paint. Maybe there's a little part out here that's sticking out in the sun. So we'll put him there. And then come do this guy over here. He's off in the distance. We're not going to forget about him. We need some shadows too and highlights. Okay, now from here we're going to start with working in our shadow color. And for that you're going to use white with a bit of the mountain mixture mixed in. And that will give us this gray color, but you don't want to over mix it. You're going to want it to have should look like marble. Now I'm going to use the little Bob Ross knife. There's actually two knives. There's a big one and a small one. I'm going to use the small one, which tends to work better with these. Now you got to kind of make some decisions here. Which one is further away? Do that one first. And then just come in there and start putting those shadows in. I made this shadow color a little bit darker than I would normally do. I do have a tendency to make it a little too light. That's something I'm trying to work on. All right. Now, every few minutes, if you're painting with this, every few minutes you should step back, and I'm right behind the camera now. That way I can kind of see, step back about 6 feet from it, see if I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Not too bad. Let's come up here. I said I don't like straight lines, so we're going to fix that. Because I wasn't kidding, I don't like straight lines. Maybe put a little more blue into this, just to change the flavor a little bit. All right. Maybe there's something right in there. I want this shadow to come in front of that far peak there. And what that's going to do is push it back. Hey, Stephanie, thanks. Thanks, Debbie. I appreciate all the likes and the views. You guys can see this here. this to kind of stick out a little more. Take that off. It's gonna give us, there we go. It's gonna start to push that peak back, which is very, very much what we want. We can kind of come in here. Just do that. I almost forgot this little guy way back in here. He needs a shadow too. You can come in here and throw in some different shadows. All right. Now, let's continue on with our highlights. Because like I said, I don't like, this right here is too straight for my liking, so. And kind of pull it this way. Pull it down. And pull this guy down. All right. Again, that's a little too straight. There we go. Like that. Just like that. But this is a very, very gentle touch. We'll kind of come in here, maybe. You can tell this paint is very thick and firm. Which is what you need if you're gonna paint mountains like this. Otherwise they're not gonna come out. And we're just gonna play with this. Hopefully. Always take a step back, kind of look at it from about 6 feet away. Not too bad. Just like that. Maybe get some more shadow color. Kind of come in here. And with the shadow color, you can kind of be a little rougher. Nothing wrong with that. Step back, kind of see how is it looking. Again, I see straight lines. It's gonna bug me all day long. So we're gonna break this up. Just like that. All right, it's a little better. All right, just like that. And maybe, let's see. One last little doer here, just that way. There we go. All right. Now, again, step back. See how it looks. Get some more white. That little roll of paint. I'm going to come up here. I think this guy, I'm going to kind of have him attached to this. Okay? And this is, once again, a very light touch. All right. Let's see. Sorry, I'm gonna step in front of the camera, come around here. All right, I'm thinking it looks better. Get some more paint up in there. All right. And we could continue doing this probably all evening and fill up the whole canvas. But that's not our goal. We want to do that. Don't worry if you're watching along. This isn't going to just be me painting this mountain here. Well, that might be kind of fun. At least for me, but probably not so much for you guys. So, let's get some more shadows. And again, I'm using the Bob Ross small knife. I don't know, you probably should show you. You can see the difference. This is the big knife. This is the small knife. Small knife is very good for getting into these kind of small areas like that. I want to make sure everybody's got their own shadow. You can kind of work that paint back and forth, and then it's going to give you these really cool effects. Some of which are those happy accidents. Just let them happen. Put another shadow there. Come in here. Put these shadows in. Now to see the original, check out season 32 on PBS of The Joy of Painting. They've got 7 or 8, I forget the exact number of paintings that Bob had prepared before he died in 1995. Died on July 4th, actually. And kind of a sad thing to die on such a holiday like that, but let's see, we can put that there. There we go, just get some happy little things there. All right, take a step back. I see a straight line. You guys are probably tired of hearing me say straight lines, but really you don't see them too much in nature, so it does kind of, there's like a straight line right here. So we're going to kind of break it up just a little bit. That way it's maybe kind of, I don't know, kind of like that. And what's cool is that when this is dried, this paint here is going to have a texture to it. It's going to just feel really, really awesome. All right, so there we go. I think that's all we're going to do for this mountain. Put that to the side. Oh, I'm running out of brushes. Let me clean a brush. Which, if you ever watched Bob, you know that's the fun part. I'm going to wash it in odorless paint thinner. And believe me, you want it to be odorless. Don't use turpentine. Turpentine is bad for the brushes. It'll leave this kind of oily residue And make sure it's odorless, because if it's not, you're going to be the most unpopular person in your family. Beat the brush. Get all the paint thinner out. All right. Now, this is an important step. We're going to mist the bottom of the mountain. Make sure this brush is clean and dry. I also wiped it off on a paper towel. And we're just going to kind of, it might look like I'm hitting it very hard. I'm not really. And be careful not to make them all even. Again, kind of like with your peaks here. You don't want them to all be even. And then come along this side here. And you can actually kind of do it like that. And it'll make this interesting, like there's part of the mountain here that comes along, but maybe there's some mist or some fog or something. Isn't that cool? Amazing. It's just amazing what you can do with this. Very cool. All right, and then take your brush and just kind of remove the tap strokes. This is very, very gentle. This is like one hair and some air, okay? All right, now, we're gonna set that brush aside. Now we're gonna start working forward in the painting. And the more levels to your painting that you have, the better it's gonna be, okay? So we're gonna take a fan brush. I got a whole bunch of these down here. I'm gonna come to the palette. We're gonna use a light color because as the trees are further away from us, they're gonna be lighter. As they come closer and closer and closer, they're gonna be darker, okay? You don't wanna make them dark that first level, otherwise it's gonna kind of mess everything up. So, we'll take some green and some white. Maybe a little bit of the mountain mixture, just to kind of, color-wise, we're gonna tie everything together, okay? But I want a light color here. I'm starting to get low on white. I should have put out some more, that's all right. Let's see. Okay, I think we're about where I want us to be. Let's find out. So one of the things you want to do when you come up to the canvas, don't just, if the color isn't right, stop. So we're going to kind of test this color, okay? And I think that's pretty good. That is pretty much what I was going for. Kind of a light green color. But I want this to kind of slope down here, okay? So now I know if I'm going to have it sloping down, maybe these trees over here will be kind of like this. And all I'm doing is I'm taking the fan brush, and I think Nick calls them tap and crash. It's really, really easy. With that mist, I want to leave that mist. That's going to put that mountain back further, and it's going to help us to have these different levels in our painting. So when we're looking at it, it looks like you can look deep into the painting. These are all just illusions. We're just playing games. These are all just illusions. That's how we can make all these little trees that look far, far, far away. And then we can kind of start coming up, just like that. Now sometimes, I've seen people who they'll put their trees and they'll look kind of like this. I don't know if you can see that on camera. They'll look like they're making fence posts. If that happens, just fill it in. Just fill it in, okay? All right, now we've got this good and filled in. And set that brush down. I find my big 2-inch brush. It's got some paint on him. We'll beat the devil out of him. All right, he should be good. I'll wipe him off on the paper towel just in case. Because again, remember what the last step here was to mist out the bottom. We're gonna do the same thing here. Mist, 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 mist out the bottom. Okay. Just like that. And suddenly, you've got these trees that look like they're far back in the distance there. Or at least I hope they do. If they don't look like that, then oops, we've got a problem. All right, now, we're gonna come forward in the painting, use that same brush, but we're gonna use a slightly darker mix now. So I'm gonna take some more of that mountain mix because we're coming forward. Now we're gonna load our brush. And then we're gonna put some trees here, but we wanna be able to see these trees. We wanna see kind of some detail. Okay? Need a little more paint. Now these guys are still far away, so we're not too concerned. We're gonna kind of start to see some details on this guy. And then of course, give him a buddy here. Now you can do trees differently. You can do them down like this. I tend to like push-up trees. Just for me, they look better. I don't know why. At least when I do them. So if you're painting, you'll kind of figure out which ones you like best. And so we're gonna do some push-up trees. Doesn't really matter. These are still far, far off. You can see a little bit of details, but not too much. Okay. Maybe another guy. There's another one right here. Let's do a whole bunch. What the hey? What the hey? Let's have some fun here. Some practice making these little bushy trees, evergreens that are way off in the distance there. But they're going to push the greenish trees back, and now we're stepping forward. So again, it's going to make it look like you've got these different planes. Maybe there's another one here. Ooh, this guy, he got a lot of water or something. I'm kind of doing this gently because I don't want them to look like they're too close to us. Okay? And remember, I kind of want the land here kind of going like this, so we can, might as well start putting that in here. What the heck? Now I know I'm going to have some big trees here, so I'm not too concerned about that. All right. Put it on. They always say you should not have even numbers. 2, 3, 4. So let's put one more. Put one more. Oops. Right there. That one hair on this brush is not cooperating. Okay, he just stuck out. That's all right. And I'm gonna pop in some more land. If you can take a brush and you can do this, then you can paint. Okay? All right. Set that brush to the side for a minute. Get our favorite 2-inch brush. It needs a little bit of a beating. And we're just going to mist this out as well. You can take this and you can actually kind of paint with it. You can kind of fix some of those by blurring it or misting it. You can do all sorts of things. We can decide that we want some water here, and literally water is that easy to create. That's how easy it is to do reflections. Probably should, I don't know if we're gonna have reflections on this one, but there you go. All right, take a step back, kind of check if you like it. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us. Now, we're gonna step forward again to another plane, so we gotta get darker. And to do this, boy, we're gonna have to have a lot of paint in this brush. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but it is full of paint, almost up to the furrow. Actually, right there it is to the furrow. Right there, it's just about to the furrow. Hey, Christopher, how's it going, buddy? Now, we've got a lot of paint here. Originally, I had this mountain where it kind of came down, I think in my original version. I'm looking at this. I don't really want to go over this thick paint, to be honest. So I think what we're going to do, I'm going to stop this guy right here. He's going to go, I don't know, about like that. Just put him in. Take a chance. Let's see what happens. We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents, what Bob said. So we're going to kind of, one thing when I'm doing these bigger trees like this, I will tend to do the middle first, because the middle, well, just to me, it's better. It makes it look thicker. So we're gonna do the middle of that tree just like that. Reload your brush with all that dark color, and then come back, and it's, kind of think of middle, step to the left. Middle, step to the right. Like you're walking down the stairs. Middle, step to the left. Middle, turn brush over, step to the right. Middle, step to the left. Step over to the right. And suddenly, it's starting to look kind of like a tree. All right. Not bad. Not bad. Oops. A knife fell down. All right. Gotta have a place for the little squirrels and all those knuckleheads. Your cabin scene. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Somebody asked me earlier today about buildings, and I noted that buildings are kind of my bugaboo. They are not my favorite thing, but we're going to work on those. And so I'm going to show you how you could do this. See? Step to the right, left, step to the right, middle, step to the left. You're starting to run out of paint. Just kind of do that. That one needs a little bit darker. Just putting in this dark color here for right now. Eventually we'll get some highlights if we want. We don't have to. And maybe this is mom and dad, so they gotta have a little tree. What the heck? That little tree right there. He's a little crooked. I think Bob once said he's crooked. That tree's crooked. We'll send him to Washington. He would fit in. All right, up. Make sure your brush is up. I don't know if you can see that. I'm holding this brush up really high. And we're just kind of boom, 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 boom. Tap, 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 tap. Boom, 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 boom. Tap, 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 tap. Now, in the season 32, they don't have water, but I like water. So I think maybe this is a peninsula. Maybe. So this is what's great about this method. You can change your mind as you're going. And kind of put your trees. Don't really need to sweat it too much. Put them down. I know this looks pretty bad right now, but trust me, it'll be okay. And then maybe the water's gonna come like that. I don't know what the heck. Yeah, there's a lake that kind of comes around like this. All right. So now we got to put some trunks for these guys. Get some Van Dyke brown, some dark sienna. I'm going to mix these up together. Take a little roll of paint, just like we did for the mountains. You're going to come up here, and all you got to do is really kind of just touch. Just touch. Even if you can't really see it, if somebody comes up close to it, they might see it. And if it's not there, you know they're going to say, oh, your tree trunk. How are those trees being held up? You've always got that one guy. And, hey, thanks, Joe. Nice, thank you. I've known Joanne for a minute or three. I think all the way back in elementary school. So we've got our tree trunks here, and then we're going to have our land here. We want some reflections. So all you're going to do, kind of pull down. And I'm doing this pretty gently. Pull down. And then you just go to the side. That's it. We want some land here. I like this misty effect, so I'm going to leave that. But all of this needs something to stand up on. This is going to fall off into the water. That would be bad. So we're going to put some soil. And I'm using a lot of dark sienna and Van Dyke brown. Very dark, rich brown colors. And you just kind of come through here. And boom. Suddenly, it looks like you've got some mud there, some soil. Okay? Kind of doing this out of order. So I forgot. Well, didn't really forget. Just got excited. Need highlights. Highlights. So highlights are very important. Let's see what we can do. We need some yellows. And I'm going to load this brush up with, this is a mixture of cadmium yellow and yellow ochre. Okay? Brush is full, and these are very soft. I thinned them down a little bit with some paint thinner. And then we're just going to come, and this part's more important, really, than your darks. Your darks are only there so that we can see the highlights. That's really their purpose. You got to have that dark so that you can see the light. Got to have those darks. Don't kill them all either. This can get kind of fun. And next thing you know, it turns to mud because you put too much highlights on it. Okay? I like that I can see the trunk there, so I'm not going to cover him up. Just like that. And come back here. And then you can kind of highlight your little grassy, bushy doors here. Just like that. There we go. Got highlights, you got your trees. You can probably put some highlights down here if you want. Doesn't matter. Even if you're like, oh no, you messed it up, don't worry. Get your brush. Pull it down. Pull it down. Just be careful, don't touch that brown. Swipe to the side. And instant reflections. It's literally that easy. One more step. We got to get some. I want to do some water lines. So I'm going to thin down some of our white. Now you can thin it down with thin oil. You can use the liquid Bob Ross liquid white. I'm just going to use the paint thinner. Doesn't really matter. And then we're going to get another thin down little roll of paint. And suddenly, you got kind of looks like there's water that's coming up onto the beach. You can hear my dogs. They probably can hear me. They are upset they can't share in the fun. All right. And this is just a little bit of thin white. That's all we're doing here. Makes it look like there's some ripples or whatnot. And it also, at least for me, shows me where I need to put some more mud. So we can kind of come in here, put some more mud right there. All right. Come back up here and mix some of that brown with what I've got left of my white. Once again, little roll of paint. Just going to highlight some of that mud there. And there you go. Now, of course, we do have one step remaining. That's the most important step if you're painting along. You gotta put your signature on here. So I get the script liner brush, and actually, before I do my signature, I keep doing things out of order tonight. I don't know what the heck's going on. A couple of things. Clean off your knife and come through here and just plow through some of that paint and sharpen these tops. And then you can kind of come through here and scratch in stuff, and it's going to look like all sorts of little things going on. You can also get a script liner brush, put it with some paint thinner, kind of come up in here. Little grassy things. That's my puppy. Well, she's not really a puppy anymore. She's almost 2 now. Still a puppy, I guess. She's spoiled rotten. All right, put some little grassy things, and then of course, last but not least, is the signature. And you have they finished painting. God, no. They're a bunch of little crazies. So thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully y'all learned a little bit, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.